can hardly believe it's already been a year since the release of the first Paw Patrol theatrical film. It honestly feels like yesterday. Even after watching it 20 or so times over the course of the last year, it never gets old. The same emotions, thrills, and energy as when I watched it the first time in theaters. With most stuff I watch, I usually only view it maybe once or twice and never really come back to it. But with this movie, it was different. I kept coming back to it, over and over. I asked myself, why do I keep coming back? Well, it's more than just my passion for the show or again Paw Patrol's first theatrical film, which was a great achievement in itself, that I thought 9 years ago would never happen. Mostly it was one word: quality. You see, with Paw Patrol nowadays, it has become more predominant on the sub-series. It is a merch-based show after all, and the normal rescue episodes as well haven't been all that intriguing to me. Starting after the Mighty Pups sub-series in Season 7, I watched the show less and less than I used to, but it didn't mean that everything was mid. Some aspects like Mission Paw and Ultimate Rescue, to name a few, are good additions to the series, but again, it's all done for quantity over quality. The number of sub-series in exchange for less quality episodes. Character development and interactions in general are not the same that it used to be. It seemed like this was going to be the way it was going to be for the foreseeable future. But if there was a one thing that could provide the quality and feel-good moments that the first 3 seasons provided, it was the Paw Patrol movie, and it did disappoint. I pretty much done most of what I needed to cover from this movie. The journey of everything so far leading to the release date, storyboards that could have set a different tone entirely, analysis and story elements. Out of all these, there's still one last thing that needs to be done. A review. I've seen the comments over the last year asking when I was going to do it, and I do apologize for keeping you all in the dark and waiting. I should have already had this done a year ago, like most have already. But no more putting it aside. The time is now, considering we have a sequel to cover next year. Anyway, enough with the long introduction monologue. Let's explore why this movie has become such a success among fans in and out of the fandom, why we're even talking about a sequel for 2023, and how it took the series back to its roots. With that all said, let's finally review the Paw Patrol movie. Let's now begin with the holy grail that this movie has to offer, the animation and presentation. Without a doubt, it's a big step up over the series, along with the scenery looking very nice. Adventure Bay especially seen in this style of animation. While we can't get really a good view of the actual town, it is still something to behold. I really wish in the future we can get a theatrical movie set in Adventure Bay. That'd be perfect. And don't forget about Adventure City, capturing the bustling metropolis that it is. Both look very nice in the new animation. And I also want to mention some of the shots we get, such as the beginning sequence overlooking Adventure Bay itself, even to add to the detail of the Adventure Bay bridge, cables snapping on impact, guardrails bending. But that's just the appetizer. Later on in the film, we get cool visuals with the likes of collapsing walls, actual fires, building collapses, and most importantly, explosions. Stuff that you wouldn't normally see in the show. The pups' character models are pretty realistic with more detailed fur. The human characters, including Ryder, now supporting 5 fingers instead of 4 like the series. And finally, a better running animation for all the characters. It's great that this movie ended up raising the stakes. Micro's Animation did a really good job when it came to animating this film, and really glad that they've been tapped on to do the Mighty Movie sequel, and to see what they can do with the animation in terms of the pups' powers, and what more carnage they can cause. While the story for this film may not be the most groundbreaking for the show, it's still a good one for the series' first theatrical film. I'll make this brief as I can. The movie starts with the team doing a routine rescue in Adventure Bay. If you ask me, I couldn't have asked for a better way to open a film than this. At the same time, Mayor Humdinger becomes mayor of Adventure City after taking out the lead candidate, which is funny because he was essentially still losing even before sabotaging it in his favor. Anyway, the new pup on the block, Liberty, calls them to tell the pups of Humdinger's plans, in which he attempts to turn Adventure City into something unrecognizable from before, and maybe destroy the city in the process. The pups then go to stop the nefarious mayor. Along with this, Chase, who is the main character of the film, must overcome his fear and anxiety of his past in Adventure City in order to not hold himself back and stop Humdinger. We'll discuss more on that a bit later. To make a long story short, the pups stop Humdinger as always, and finally, after 8 long agonizing years of Humdinger on the streets, he finally gets put in jail. And he breaks out of prison. What is this, Arkham Asylum or something? To the disappointment of many, he will return in the sequel, The Mighty Movie. Overall, it's a nice story, pretty easy to follow along both for kids and even adults to enjoy, with a good amount of thrills, action, and even emotional moments. Plus, you don't even need to watch the show to know how the story goes, making it easily accessible to people who haven't seen the show before. I like how they took the series back to its roots. No magic, no fantasy, no gimmicks, no sub-series, just a bare-bones movie with a simple plot, simple antagonist, with new gear and vehicles, but not going too far away from the show's original premise. Rescue dogs helping others. When I first heard about the celebrity cast for the film, I was not that impressed with it, but not as bad as when the Mario movie cast got announced, thankfully. Come to the film, the celebrity cast was pretty good, and I'll discuss about their characters later in the vid. But for now, let's focus on Ryder and the main 6 pups. For Marshall, Sky, Zuma, and Rebel, they were voiced by their current VAs that at the time of Season 8. Those being Kingsley Marshall, Lily Bartleman, Shale Simons, and Keegan Headley, respectively. Rocky, however, was voiced by Callum Shonker, who had already voiced a character in Paw Patrol, that being the villainous Copycat in Mighty Pups Charged Up. All these guys did alright, not the best VAs when it came to their characters' voices in the past, but good enough for me. Then there's Ryder and Chase, who both had their series VAs replaced with celebrity voices. First up is Will Brisbane as Ryder, and from what Brisbane said, Ryder is 14 years old in this film and does a nice job portraying a much older Ryder, in my opinion. He's one of the better VAs Ryder's had in a while. And finally, there's Chase, voiced by Ian Armitage. While I'm not a fan of a more childlike voice for Chase, and prefer other VAs who give Chase a bit of a deeper voice, like Tristan Samuel and Justin Paul Kelly, Armitage wasn't bad either, though. It will be interesting to see if they keep both of these guys on for the second movie. Both have deepened their voices currently, so anything goes. I want to dedicate this section to our good old friend, the old Paw Patroller, known for being a symbol and relic of once was the prime of Paw Patrol. It was destroyed in Season 8 with Pup Stop a Cheetah, which was during the making of this film. I don't know if Cal Brunker and co. knew that the old one was getting destroyed, but it was great to see it back once again, and I really hope this is the last time we see this vehicle. This is the perfect way to end its legacy. No rescue, no chaos. It's just a long, relaxing road trip through the countryside, with the pups vibing with good mood one last time on this relic of a vehicle. And though it does feel a bit empty not having Roboduck driving it like he always does, but it was nice to see Ryder driving it, for a change. I wouldn't have thought that I'd ever be on the edge of my seat when it came to action around Paw Patrol, but this movie took it to the next level. The near-death-defying, heart-stopping moments occurring is like no other. Chase nearly falling to a sheer of flames, nearly falling off the top of a building, twice, watching Ryder come down with the top of Humdinger Heights, Chase riding the side of a building, and my top 3 favorites. Zuma's entire rescue sequence, Sky kamikazing the Cloudcatcher, and of course, Chase's leap of faith. The rescues are also nice as well. In short, the action is nothing but top-notch, with moments that will keep you on the edge of your seat most of the time, unless for the filler sections and, of course, the emotional parts. Besides all the thrills this film has to offer, there is one crucial element of the story that defines it more if the movie didn't have it at all. Through the longest time in the series, Rebel was the only pup out of the main 6 to get a backstory. For 8 long years, we wondered if we were even going to get a backstory on the rest of the pups, if not one at all. It seemed like it wouldn't happen until this film. We got Chase's backstory within this film, and it revolves around him facing his fears in Adventure City, due to his past being abandoned by unknown individuals and left for an undisclosed amount of time in the city. The backstory ends after he nearly gets run over by a truck. In the present, he struggles in terms with these fears, and eventually he runs away after the trust between him and Ryder fully breaks. Chase is captured by Butch and Ruben and taken to the Fuzzy Buzzy's obedience school turned dog jail. He is then saved by the team along with Liberty, and Ryder takes Chase to the spot where he found him all those years ago, choosing him because he was the bravest pup he had ever seen. Rejoining the team, and in a crucial moment when it means life or death for Ryder, his words from the past allow Chase to get over the hump and make his leap of faith. This backstory comes in close proximity as being one of the saddest and more emotional moments from the entire show. right up there with Marshall leaving the team himself in Pup Save a Friend. Emotional is the only way I can describe this backstory, one that will most likely make you tear up on the inside and maybe even out. And it's definitely a step up when it came to Rubbles in some areas. Though in the end I thought this backstory was a bit too short. I know in many of my vids before this I preached that I didn't want his backstory to be too long, to make more room for the events in the present time. But now I wish there was more to it than what we got with Chase's past in the film.
You're taking Main Street at rush hour? No wonder you're stuck in traffic. I'm Liberty. We spoke on the phone. So nice to finally meet you in person. We've all got to take pride in our city. Don't ever forget that.
One of the finest new additions to the Paw Patrol team and series overall is Liberty, a dashing pup who knows a thing or two about Adventure City, using that knowledge to aid the Paw Patrol on several occasions, whether using her navigational skills, using clever tactics to get behind enemy lines, providing encouragement to others, especially Chase when he needed it most, or just straight up roasting others.
Wiener dog? Maybe you should just pick that up and put it in the trash.
Yeah? Or what?
Or I'm going to pick you up and put you in the trash.
Please, this scrawny little purse pup is gonna pull a jailbreak?
You talk a lot of trash for a dog who looks like a toilet brush.
She is not afraid to speak out against others when they insult her friends, or the city itself. Her mighty power should either be roasting or be a furry GPS. Either way, all the things she does in the film leads her to fulfill her dream of being a member on the Paw Patrol. They did a good job with her, though I wish I could say the same with her in the TV series when she made her debut in Season 9. Marcy Martin as the voice definitely brought this character to life, and I couldn't see anyone else voicing Liberty but her. Again, a good new addition in character. And speaking of new characters, speaking of the new characters, they do their jobs very well in this film, and I actually enjoyed most of them. First up, Butch and Reuben, Humdinger's new bodyguards, symbolizing either Humdinger is getting serious this time around, or just having these two do the dirty work for him. Either way, they're mostly there for comedic purposes, especially the top hat gag with Butch. They also show that they can be intimidating at times, and it's a shame for the last 1/4 of the movie they were pretty much nowhere to be seen. Kendra Wilson I thought was alright, but I do think her sciencey talk gag is better than Butch's top hat gag, just for the sake of everyone losing their brain cells.
There's a free-floating meteorological weather containment system overhead and the anemometer readings are off the charts!
What?
Marty McCracker is more of the same, though I do think Jimmy Kimmel did a nice job of portraying a news reporter, and in my opinion he was better than Haley Daly. Again, for Gus, I can't say much for him, but he did call Chase a baby dog, which is pretty humorous in the grand scheme of things, because he's technically right. And then there's the Fuzzy Buzzy's obedience school characters, starting with Barney. I can't say that much about him. He gets barely any dialogue, though I do like that he's a sheepdog, which is a breed we haven't seen in the series before. Rocket is in for more of a comedic effect, but I like him. He's a Jack Russell Terrier, so that's pretty nice to know. Again, another breed we haven't seen before. I don't like Rocket as much as Harris, though. By far the best out of the 4 main characters from the obedience school, in my opinion. Harris is a golden retriever, and I love golden retrievers, so of course he's my favorite because of that. Not really, but he is an uplifting dog, and one of the only ones who seems to care for Chase in this obedience school. And it's a bit unfortunate that we didn't see more of him compared to what we saw in the earlier storyboards, where he was actually a service dog in this, but this trait was taken out, as according to director Cal Brunker, it was done to blend in with the other obedience school characters. It seems like he was going to have a much bigger role in this scene, maybe be the one that gets Chase's confidence back instead of Liberty. And finally there's Dolores, a poodle who's a bit of a sass and a bit rude, but thankfully not as rude as she was in the storyboard, where she flattens Chase's morale even further than it already was up to that point. But she does get roasted by Liberty, so it's all good. Now she is confirmed to be returning in the upcoming Mighty movie sequel along with their VA Kim Kardashian, but I rather much see the other 3 dogs return rather than her. But Kardashian does bring the money and followers, so it's not surprised she'll be back. Overall, it's a good cast of new characters. It's better than some of the newer characters we get for the series that aren't team members or villains. myself and others were a bit disappointed when we found out that Mayor Humdinger was going to be the main antagonist for the film instead of someone new, and I thought he wasn't going to be any good. Glad I was wrong about that, as come to the full film, he isn't that bad. Sure, he's still irritating at times, but he's a bit more intimidating and menacing than before, getting bodyguards to show that he means business and taking no regards to anyone, but still keeping the qualities that he has in the show, a coward and oblivious to whenever something is clearly dangerous. Besides that, I think this is one of the best performances Ron Pardo has put in as the voice of Humdinger. I'm interested to see what he'll do in the mighty movie. Maybe backstab Victoria Vance in the end, taking the powers for himself, of course. We'll see. The humor is not that bad in this, and thankfully there isn't a single fart joke throughout this entire movie, which is a blessing. Cal, please keep it that way.
Oh, thank you. The rescue team is here. A dog?
Actually, sir, I'm a puppy.
A baby dog? That's even worse.
You're in shock, so I'm not gonna take that personally.
Trouble!
It's not my fault. I couldn't decide what to bring, so I brought everything. There, come on. See? It fits. How can we afford this place?
Officially licensed Paw Patrol merchandise. This stuff sells like hotcakes.
What? It's a beautiful thing. Oh, I want that one.
No, Rebel, don't! That cubby belongs to...
Sky!
Sky. Oops. Come on, this is ridiculous!
Green means go! Green means go! Green does still mean go, right?
Ha! There he is! Don't worry, guys! I'll protect you! Leave my friends alone! He got away!
I gotta get out of here.
Mr. Mayor, we're live.
If this goes viral, I'm canceling the internet!
I hope Ryder got insurance on my copter. That'll buff right out.
Nobody makes a fool of Mayor Humdinger 5 times in the same game! Ah! Whoa! Ah! Wow, this is humiliating.
Here you go, boss.
That's better.
On a side note, I don't know why they switched Marshall and Rubble around in terms of being the more comedic pup. I feel like Marshall got the short end of the stick in this film and should have gotten more, or at least him and Rubble split the comedic moments between them to make it even. The soundtrack is pretty good, though it's mostly comprised of pop songs where classic rock is more my thing, but I still enjoyed what songs this film has to offer, ranging from Good Mood performed by Maroon 5 lead singer Adam Levine about good vibes, fun, something you can jam to, and is really catchy. But if you're looking for something a bit more on the emotional side, then look to The Use and Trying by Alyssa Cara. To be honest, I didn't like this track originally when it was released, but pairing it up with Chase staring out the window and Liberty's morning scene changed my views. A very impactful track about hope, with both trying to get what they hope for most. Chase trying to get away from Adventure City and his fears, and for Liberty to help out and maybe join the Paw Patrol one day. After this, we have That's My Girl by Fifth Harmony that introduces Liberty to the team. Then there's Somebody Sometimes, and I Need Help both by Fitz and the Tantrums. Somebody Sometimes mostly remembered for being used during Zuma's big moment, which I'm glad they gave him to instead of nothing at all. But I Need Help is better out of the two, a banger and one that doesn't get discussed about much when talking about the soundtrack, mostly because it was used during the teaser trailer only, and not in the film. Finally, there's two Paw Patrol themes. The classic one makes an appearance introducing the pups in the beginning of the film. As always, nothing much to say on it, but I'm glad they included it. Then there's the Reimagine It theme, and I'm debating as to which of the two is better. Reimagine is a slower paced, and which I actually prefer over the classic theme song, and just something different overall. I know it's a hot take, but the classic theme is getting a bit old for me, and I want something new and fresh. The reimagined theme, while keeping the original lyrics, adds new ones in, and it's like an extended version of the theme song, but just better, in my opinion. I want to briefly mention the credits because I don't really see anyone talk about this, but the animation is very nice in this. The background as well, character models, and while it's a bit odd to see the characters not in a CGI and 3D animation like we've seen in the series, it's a very nice change. When it was all said and done, the Paw Patrol movie, despite debuting both Paramount Plus and theaters on the same day, it still did well at the box office against a $26 million budget. The movie made about $40 million overall in the US box office, already ahead of its budget, plus made another $104 million internationally for a total of $144.3 million over its time in theaters, making it a box office success. It finished second in its opening week to Free Guy, a remarkable achievement, and it even went number 1 in France and Ireland for a time being. The movie picked up a Golden Screen Award for feature film, being the highest grossing Canadian film at the box office. It was also nominated for Favorite Animated Movie at the Kids' Choice Awards in 2022, and was on the shortlist for an Oscar nomination. The success has led to a sequel to be developed for 2023 called The Mighty Movie, focusing on Sky and featuring a new villain, a mad scientist named Victoria Vance. If you're a fan of Paw Patrol like me, then I'm sure most of you will enjoy this film, ranging from the glorious animation to a great story and emotional message, good action, character development, interactions, and new characters, all to shape up for a nice, fun, and family-friendly film. Not just for kids to enjoy, but for adults as well. Though this movie isn't perfect by any means, along with the pacing being a bit too quick for my liking and was a bit short if you cut out the credits and the entire first rescue, which didn't have much to do with the story. But again, we're not the target audience and it's mostly appealing to kids. While I do wish that we got more pup pack usage from the pups instead of only having Chase, Sky, and Zuma getting to use theirs over the course of the film, specifically their new gear sets they get, which were a nice touch over the original. Even go as far as adding newer equipment to the pups' OG gears as well. And then there's Chase's backstory. It's still good, but again, I was hoping for more from this, especially with Rubbles leading up to him getting introduced on the team with this pup tagging vehicle, while Chase didn't get his. It answered some questions, but it left its door wide open for more. Maybe someday we'll revisit this backstory and find out why Chase was abandoned, who abandoned him, and what Ryder was doing there to begin with. Also, what happens after this, in between the events of this movie and Season 1. Up till pups get a Rubble. Other than this, I enjoyed every single second of this film from start to finish, and looking forward to see what the Mighty Movie can do, and can it top what the first movie was able to accomplish so well. Now with that, I want to ask you, what did you think of the Paw Patrol movie, and what was your favorite aspect about it, ranging from story, action, characters, etc. Thank you all for watching, and if you made it this far, I will see you all again next time.